Hey, I'm Austin Cross. Hey, we're making pan-grilled salmon with a little bit of peach salsa on top and on the side some coconut rice. Also known as tasty, healthy awesomeness. And it's super easy to make. First, let's talk gear. So, you're going to need a grill pan. Now, a grill pan would be an awesome investment because you're probably going to use it again. If you look at these great lines going across, that means when you cook your food, you get that wonderful crisscross pattern. Of course, if you don't have a grill pan, you can still use one of these, but you're going to have to do things a little differently. You also might need a nice pair of tongs and a spatula. Now the ingredients. You'll need some fresh cilantro, limes, a lemon, peaches, and fresh salmon. You're also going to need coconut milk and about a cup of rice. Let's get started. You're going to want to rinse off your fish first and then pat it dry. It's very important that you get it dry. Next, you're going to want to season it up really well. So I'd grind some pepper right on top there, make it look pretty. I would then flip it over, do it again. Once you have a nice little coating of pepper, I also add sometimes some garlic powder. I do enjoy the flavor of garlic on fish. I think many people do. That's always a big thing to add. You're going to want to add just a little bit of garlic powder there, like that. And then top it off with just a little bit of freshly ground sea salt. And that sea salt is going to give it a very nice flavor. If you have a Morton salt, that's fine too. If you find that sea salt a little less harshly flavored, it's almost got a little bit of a sweetness to it. Very mild is what we call it, and it goes really well with seafood dishes. Now, of course, here's the extra step of adding maybe just a little bit of paprika. Now, paprika is not for everybody. It's going to heat it up just a little bit flavor-wise. So this is all really depending on whether or not you properly peppered before, because if you put on a little extra pepper, then you don't want to add the paprika unless the person that you're cooking this for really likes their spicy foods. But there's just something about the paprika. I think it adds a nice smoky flavor. Don't put the lemon on yet. Because of the acidity in the lemon, that will start to cook the fish. It actually may make the first few outer layers of the fish a little bit dry. Nobody really likes dry fish. It's kind of defeating the point, I think. So you'll want to wrap it up all neatly, and then you can go and take this and put it in the fridge, let it set, let some of that flavor really start to sink in. Okay, so let's assume that you've now already chopped up your cilantro so that it's nice and fine here, that you've cut up your peaches into nice little 1/4-inch squares, and you've also sliced your lime. A few things to know about these guys now. So your peaches, you're going to get different ones at the store. Some are going to be really mushy, some of them are going to be firm. I find the best type to cut, of course, are the firm ones. So if you can feel around on the outside, that would help you out a lot. Also, you've got your limes. One good thing to know before cutting into your limes is roll them around between your palm on the counter. It makes the outside nice and soft. It kind of gets it ready to be juiced. And of course, your cilantro, use fresh. Now, I have dry cilantro too, but you're always going to do so much better with fresh. So always do that. So we've got these peaches here. What you can do is you can get some lime. A lot of this is now left up to what the person who's eating it really likes. If you like your food to have a little bit of tang to it, then that lime is going to be really nice in there. I'm going to use about 3/4 of a lime for this though, maybe a little less, and of course you get your cilantro, and I just toss a little bit on top there. Now, I don't like to use scientific measurements. A lot of food is left up to taste. There's some things you really can't take so many creative liberties on, but something like this, you know, you can just go with what you like. You really can. So, what we're going to see now is take a look at that. It's a nice, wonderful combination. My hands almost blend in because I'm covered up with cilantro. This is good. It smells great. Now, the directions would usually tell you add some salt, add some pepper. Don't add your salt just yet. It's going to dehydrate the peaches. It's going to make them get watery. It's going to make them really gross. I'd wait until the end on that. You can add some pepper if you would like. I would. My hands are dirty. I'd wash them off first, but certainly add a good grind of fresh pepper into there. That will make things really fantastic. And once you're done with this, go ahead and put it in the fridge. Alright, so now we're on to our rice. Now, if you recall earlier when I told you that there are some places, just a little bit of oil here, there are some places in cooking where you can leave it up to taste and some places where you have to do precise measurements. You gotta be careful here because this is one of those few areas where there's actually a requirement for precision. So what I just did is I coated the bottom of my pot with some oil here. That's going to prevent the rice from sticking. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get the actual rice itself. This is 1 cup of rice, and we're going to scatter it about the bottom of the pan. Now, 1 cup of rice does not look like a lot, but I'm sure you know this already. Doubles, even triples in size, so this is more than enough for 2 people. Also, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add about a solid cup, this is pre-measured of course, solid cup of your coconut milk. And it has a slightly thick consistency and it smells wonderful. That's really going to make your rice stand out. Of course, you want to use some water. I'm going to step away over here and get you about a cup of water. And so, the science with rice is this. It's a 1 to 2 ratio. So if you're going to do 1 cup of rice, you're going to want to do about 2 cups of liquid. You can use water if you don't have coconut milk. If you couldn't find coconut milk, you'll usually find it on the Asian aisles of stores. It's really big in a lot of different foods, especially Thai food, which I love. We're going to make a lot of here. And so what we did now with this is we have just added in our coconut milk, our water. I'm breaking things. I'm going to get my spatula right here and I'm going to stir it around just a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set this on about low heat. We're going to put a top on it or a plate. Sometimes people don't have tops lying around. A lot of guys, we don't have tops, so just use the back of a plate. It's fine. Low, 20 minutes, come back, and right about the point where we get to 10 minutes, that's when we get to make our fish. Oh, and by the way, remember that lime that we didn't use all of on our peach salsa? It's excellent in your rice. Here's a little bonus for all you overachievers. What I've done here is I've gotten a little glass ramekin. I filled it up with about a tablespoon of butter and a little squeeze of lemon. And what we're going to do is we're going to heat this up in the microwave and we're going to put it on top of the salmon once it's done. You can do this at any point, but you don't have to. I just love butter so much. Oh, also, remember that garlic powder that we used earlier? Sprinkle, sprinkle. Alright, now for the fun part. So, we have our fish. Remember how I told you not to salt it before? Now is the time to put a little bit of salt on top of it. Also, what you can do is go ahead and squeeze some lemon juice right on top there. And feel free to rub it in with your hands. The beautiful thing about lemon juice is not only does it seem to be just made for fish, especially salmon, but it helps take away any fishy flavor. Now that can come from a number of places. If you buy frozen, if you buy certain imported types of salmon, and sometimes it's very hard to know what you're getting in the stores, understandably so. Well, lemon is kind of the, tossing it around, lemon is kind of the great equalizer for that. What it really does is it takes down on the fishy flavor, and it pretty much guarantees you that as long as your fish is good, that it's going to turn out great. So now it's nice and seasoned. Now we put it on the grill pan. Alright, so you're going to want to make sure that your pan is very hot, it's on high. Then I'm going to get some spray, cooking spray, and just get the surface there. That's so the fish doesn't stick. If your fish sticks, it's a bad day, because then you're going to lose those little pieces. And now we get our fish, and I'm assuming it's nice and hot. You want high heat, high heat, high heat. You can hear those juices kind of dangling over it already. And into the pan it goes. Look at that. Very nice. You're going to let it cook for about 4 to 5 minutes each side. You're going to want to poke it a little bit to make sure it's gotten nice and soft. That's how you know it started to cook. You're also going to want to look right in the middle of it on this side, on the inside of the fish. If you were looking at the fish swimming along, you'd want to look on the inside of the fish to make sure that it's fully cooked. If it's not, put it back on for a few more minutes, but you don't really want to move it from here because you want those beautiful little grill lines. So, 4 minutes. So, the fish has been cooking for a little while now. We're going to start to loosen it up. using our spatula just to make sure that there's no parts left sticking on the surface. That's good. Then we're going to up and flip, and now we let it set for another 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and look at our fish. Once we finished it up there, isn't that nice? It's a nice grill mark going across the top there. Looks really good. We're going to go ahead and cut this in two, then plate it up. So we can go ahead and put just a little bit of salt on there now. You can also add a little bit of our ground pepper on top. As you see, the fish turned out nicely. And what you want to do now is remember that butter that we made. There it is, all melted with the garlic and with the lemon, and we can just pour a little bit on top of the salmon like that. It's going to taste really nice. Lastly, we want to stir up the salsa so that all the flavors are evenly distributed. Now, some people can add onion to this. I've tried it before. It's okay, but I would rather have just that wonderful peachy flavor there. And just like that, you are finished. Of course, you notice that I love the shaped rice. So that is our cilantro on top. That's the cilantro that we used earlier for this, that we had left over. I think it looks nice, and this is our coconut rice. It comes out in a nice thick pattern, which means I put it inside of a nice glass and just plop it right down on the plate. You get these little mountains of wonderful rice here. All right, final glamour shot here. So we've got our rice, our coconut rice that turned out. We've got our fish that came with nice little grill lines. And you make that for your honey, you make that for anybody. They're going to be impressed. They're going to think you spent a long time in the kitchen. You didn't. You spent about 30, 40 minutes, and you didn't spend a lot of money either. All in all, the meal cost less than $12. Now for the fun part. I'm Austin Cross. Subscribe.